Hey guys, so editing Robin before this video actually starts because I kind of need to preface this video a little bit. First of all, a trigger warning for oral surgery, surgery in general, and just like general trauma. I understand if this isn't a video that you want to watch, if that's something that is triggering to you or that makes you uncomfortable. I do not talk about it graphically, but at least talk about it in relative detail. And it is a very, very sensitive subject for me, so keep in mind that this isn't something that was easy for me to film. It's not going to be the same as a lot of my other videos where I'm very well spoken and very put together. Um, this was a lot. It was just very important that I do put this out here. I really did need to share this with you guys, and it is very, very hard to. So I also ask that you're kind. I mean, you guys have always been really great to me and really, really supportive. And I just ask that right now you leave the criticism of me behind, at least on this video. Hey guys, so I think a lot of you guys know that I've been incredibly open on this channel. I've talked about a lot of different struggles and a lot of weaknesses that I feel like I have, and a lot of my insecurities. And I think it's only fair that I make this video, and I think it's actually probably one of the more important ones just because, while I'm not a big channel in any way and I'm not famous in any way, I still do have a following and I do have a lot of trust. And I think it's good and worthwhile to show really what's going on and my struggle and everything like that. And this video is going to be very hard to film, and if it's a little choppy, I'm sorry. I'm already kind of feeling like I'm not going to be able to watch this back to edit it. So apologies for that in advance, but I just kind of wanted to sit here, drink some wine with you guys, and talk about what's going on, what that means, and why that's important. So yeah, I'm sure most of you guys know this by now. I've talked about this already on all my social media, but I do have a history of these benign oral jaw tumors. If you care to look them up, they're called central giant cell granulomas. I had one in 2007. It was growing about here. I lost 6 teeth and a bunch of bone. I had another one in 2011. Up here, again, lost 3 more teeth and a bunch of bone. And now I have a third one growing right around here. You might have noticed in past videos, probably about the last couple months or so, you can see a little bit of swelling on the right side of my face, and that's why. They are benign but aggressive bone tumors, and they are most common in women under 30. So unfortunately, I fall into all of the risk categories. And with this third one, it pretty much confirms that I have some kind of underlying condition that's causing these. Obviously, that's something that we are going to look into. But in the meantime, there's one that's presented itself and it needs to be treated, and that's what we're doing. Why does this matter? Like, why is this something that I'm making a video about, and why is this something that scares me as much as it does and makes me as emotional as it does? When I was 15 and I had the first one, no one could really tell me what was going on. I mean, they could tell me what was going on. I didn't really understand it. All I knew is that I was gonna have oral surgery and that no one could really tell me if I was gonna be able to play again. And I guess I've always said it this way, that I was too young to realize that it should have been hard. And it's not that it wasn't hard. Those of you who've known me for as long as this has been around know that it was a really big struggle, and I had to work really, really hard. And I didn't think I was going to be as good as I was. But in the end, mainly because my airstream was disrupted and I had to figure out a way to play with fewer teeth in my mouth, I ended up having to use more air and use it differently, and I had to be able to channel it differently, and that's what created
the sound that I have, the big full sound that a lot of you guys comment on a lot, is because I am missing 6 teeth in the bottom of my jaw and I had to figure out how to play. It is also why my embouchure is so right set. I don't play with my fake teeth in, which I am wearing right now, so you can't really tell what's going on. But it is something that I've also had to deal with a lot with teachers. I've talked about this on this channel before. I really had some situations with teachers, whether it was my fault or theirs is hard to tell because I remember them from my perspective, but I felt like these teachers weren't acknowledging the fact that I had a situation going on, essentially, and were trying to teach me like I was a traditional player, which I don't think is fair. And well, again, I don't ever want to blame these people and I will never name them, of course. I did realize that I was going to be a harder person to teach just because I have a condition that no one else really has. And that was fine. It happened, it was done. I didn't think it was going to be a problem. I went into my junior year of high school. I learned all this great music. I started studying with Marcella Sager, who was the assistant principal of the Cleveland Orchestra. She's since moved on. And I got into college and I was doing all these amazing things. And I was like, okay, this is fine. Everything's gonna be fine. Like, I have this under control. And I went to University of Toronto. I started my first semester, and in the dining hall, right before winter break, I felt a lump in my upper jaw. And I don't know how to describe the feeling necessarily, but it was just kind of a realization that this wasn't right. And I've had false alarms before. I've had like stitches come out. I've had just things that I thought were wrong that turned out to be fine. And I was going to my doctors consistently. They were taking scans consistently, and I knew I could get confirmation. So when I went home for winter break, I told my parents. We immediately called my surgeon, who was the same surgeon who had done my first surgery and was excellent. He knew my history. He knew I was a flutist. Like, he'd seen me grow up at that point because he'd been my doctor for 15 through 18. So he knew me quite well. We went, he took the scans, he took a biopsy, it was confirmed. And February of my freshman year of college, or first year of university, I've been Americanized again, I'm sorry guys, I went home and had surgery. And that one was scarier, I have to admit. Because the first time, we didn't know anything. We knew it was a risk and we knew everything like that, but I was also 15. I hadn't made this decision necessarily. Like, I still had the chance to go to school for anything else. And well, like, obviously you can always go back to school, you can always change your career path. I had really committed to this and I was doing well and I loved it, and it wasn't something that I wanted to be able to, wasn't going to be able to give it up. At least I don't think so. And so but I had to have surgery. That was the only treatment. And so I went home. My surgeon at home was excellent. He still is. And I ended up playing my juries that year on time. And it's something that I am so incredibly proud of, because I wasn't expecting to be able to finish on time that year, because no one could tell me whether I was going to be able to play. And as it turns out, this one had basically zero effect on my playing. Apparently your back upper teeth don't particularly matter when you're already missing 6 on the bottom. And I went on with my life. And 2012 is when I started my Tumblr, which I've since stepped away from, but it still exists if you guys want to go see it. I was Tumors and Music on Tumblr, and I started that blog as an escape, a venting place. Like, I was 19, this thing that I had been so scared of my whole life had just happened, or not my whole life, 4 years. That's not my whole life. But this thing that I've been scared of, it just happened. I had gone through it, and I was trying to figure out who I was as a person. And I've talked a lot about this in therapy and a lot with my friends and with my family. This is not something that I've ever hidden, but I felt like I didn't really get to know who I was until college, because it's very hard being 15 and not feeling pretty because you're missing 6 teeth, and it's something that everyone knows about. I'm from a relatively small suburb of Cleveland. I have like 400 people in my graduating class, and it's not like everyone knew, but it was a common knowledge thing, especially around the band community, because I was out for 2 weeks and everything like that. And it was very hard on your self-esteem, as one can imagine. So fine, my second year in university, I find Tumblr as this chance to talk about things with people that don't know me. And I mean, obviously, Tumors and Music became a music blog, and it became much more about what we talk about now on my channel, and it is the origins of this channel, but it was still always this place where I could just kind of write stuff and get it into the world so that I could feel better about it. I'm the kind of person who likes to talk about things, clearly. I feel more comfortable if I'm talking about it and putting it out into the world. So that's what Tumblr was for me. And obviously I got through it. I did see a therapist for a little bit, trying to just kind of get my head straight. Like, fair enough. I don't think anyone should ever blame me for that, or anyone for going to therapy, but again, we're not going on a Robin rant right now. But I finished undergrad, I went and did my master's, I finished my master's, I decided that I wanted to become a contemporary specialist, I started this channel, like all of these things happened and everything was going great. I moved to Chicago, I fought my way through all of the awfulness that is moving to a new city and trying to start a career, and I figured out what I wanted to do in life. And I did the 365, I did 52 weeks of flute, I have done all of these challenges, and then my eye happened, and that was a new roadblock. Luckily, I had been playing with it for so long, I knew even if they weren't able to renew my sight in my right eye, which they have to some extent, I was gonna be okay, because I've been playing for so long without it that that one it didn't scare me, it wasn't fun. Having to take as much time off as I did wasn't fun, and it definitely did make me have to turn down gigs and stuff like that, but everyone was super understanding. Like, you had surgery, that's something that you have to do. So it seemed like finally everything was getting back to normal. And while I was at Splice Festival, I started having jaw pain. And I clench my teeth in my sleep when I'm stressed. I was presenting to people that I highly respect. It was something that was nerve-wracking, so I just kind of figured that I was clenching my teeth and that was what was going on. And I do keep tabs on my jaw, obviously. When you've had 2 tumors, it's kind of hard to trust that you won't have a third. And I felt something and was like, okay, that isn't great. Put it on my head, had a great time at Splice Festival. Splice is amazing, if you guys don't know, I love it. And I came home, and I knew I had a dentist appointment that week anyway. And I was still feeling this lump, and I was still having some jaw pain, and so I talked to my dentist about it. He felt around and was like, okay, that's strange, especially considering your history. I'd really like to refer you. And at that point, that sinking feeling that I had had in 2011 was pretty much there already. I knew. It's an instinct that you have. I think a lot of people with chronic illnesses or with chronic conditions have that same feeling of like, this is not just me thinking about this. This is the warning signs of what's to come. Well, that's fine. With me, it's not like it's something that has to be diagnosed. It's not something that I can go, oh, this is my blank flaring up or whatever. Like, I do have to go through the process of getting it scanned and biopsied and all that jazz. So I get it scanned. The surgeon that I was referred to doesn't specialize in oral tumors or oral growths, so he didn't really know much about it. I probably knew more about it than he did, which is fine. It's a very rare condition. He was kind and looked up doctors who specialized in these things, and referred me to one who I saw who was supposed to basically biopsy and remove it at the same time in April. And then certain world things happened and my surgery was canceled and they couldn't give me a rescheduled date. And one of the things with these tumors is that time is of the essence, but it's not the only thing. They are relatively slow growing, but they are very aggressive, and my particular genre of them tends to be very aggressive. So I was concerned that I wasn't going to be treated ever if I stuck with this doctor. So I asked around. My dad was incredible and pulled a whole bunch of strings and found this doctor that was very, very specialized in it at University of Illinois, Chicago. I emailed him out of the blue and he was incredible and emailed me back and saw me 2 days later. They biopsied it that day, and a week later it was confirmed that indeed another giant cell granuloma I had. Unfortunately, right now in Illinois, surgeries are still very limited, and because this is an oral surgery, it's very, very hard because of the way the virus is transmitted, as you can understand. Obviously, I can get tested and everything like that, but the hospital still has to okay the risk to confirm a surgery. And right now, they're basically only confirming cancer patients, and I'm a very weird gray area of having a benign tumor that's aggressive. So hopefully soon we'll get cleared for surgery, but in the meantime, I'm trying this steroid treatment that has been seen in patients to reduce the size of the growth, and that's great if it does work, because it is at a quite risky part of my jaw, just because it's quite close to the edge of my jaw, so there's a lot of limitations with surgery and there's a lot of risks that go along with it, especially since I am a flute player. And that's the biggest concern with all of these surgeons, is that my livelihood isn't something that can risk my jaw, if that makes sense. I can't just go, oh yeah, cut it out of my face and it'll be fine, I'll figure it out, because we don't know what function I'm going to have post-surgery. And obviously that's incredibly scary, but there's also a part of me that's like, I did it twice and I wasn't supposed to do it the last 2 times, so what's different about the third? I've learned to play 3 times now, I guess 2 times, because the second time wasn't, the third time second tumor wasn't really that bad, but I've done it before, and this is what I love, and this is what I wanted to do my entire life, and I will not let anyone or my own body tell me that it is not allowed to happen until it is physically impossible. And so, why have you spent the last 20 minutes crying at a screen talking about this? Because I can understand that this is a lot, and this is more information than most of you want. I think it's important that everyone is open and honest about their limitations, their risks, and their fears. I am truthfully terrified, and I don't think anyone can blame me for that. But it doesn't mean it's going to stop me. It doesn't mean I won't get treatment. And it doesn't mean that I'm any less of a flutist. I will come back from this. This is not something that's going to stop me. I can't let it. And it's terrifying. It really is. But I love this.
Editing Robin is back. Filming Robin was not able to coherently end this video, and I don't need to share that part of things with you guys. It's just a sobbing mess, and we don't need that on the internet from me. I'm sorry. But what I do want to leave you guys with is, why do I think this is important? Why did I record this in the first place? And the biggest reason is to share my struggles with people. I don't think it's fair to only see the good and to only see the wins, which are great and they should be celebrated, but the lows are important to see as well, because they are very, very humanizing. And they're also reassurance that other people going through the same thing, or going through similar struggles, or going through just struggles in general, will be okay. And I don't know what's going to happen. I can't promise you anything. What I can promise you is that I will still be here, I will still be playing flute, and that I will figure it out. When I recorded this video, I don't know whether I said I was unsure whether I was going to come back, and I think that I need to correct past me in that I will come back. It's not an option. It's not a variable. And that's something that I need to also share, is I am determined. I don't care what life will throw at me. I don't care what this throws at me. But I've done it before, I'll do it again, and I will continue doing it if my life requires that. I'm obviously going to do everything in my power to prevent that from ever happening, but I love this. This is what I want to do with my life, and I will not let anything in the world stop me. And that determination and that motivation is something that I treasure, and I think is one of my strongest suits, is that I will not give up on something that I care about. So yeah, this video is a bit of a mess, and I'm not gonna lie, but I needed to film this, as I've said a million times. I needed this out in the world. I needed to share this. And whether or not you watch it is perfectly fine. Obviously, you got to this point if you're watching this part, so thank you so much for bearing with me and listening to everything that I'm going through, and I will see you guys very, very soon for a very different video.